Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll do this in English, so if I say anything stupid, then I can say it's lost in translation. Thank you very much for the introduction, Eric, and I thank you for the opportunity to share my thoughts on future aviation and future of mobility here at this Unmanned Nordic Conference. It may be seen as a contradiction that a company with a tagline, "It's all about people," should engage in unmanned aviation. But let me be very clear on one thing. Unmanned aviation is, in my view, an oxymoron, a contradictory expression. Unmanned aviation will create a lot of career opportunities. The future of mobility will become more and more important in the development of urban areas. Public transportation, where different transportation forms like trains, buses, scooters, walking, biking, riding, sharing vehicles are knitted together like a physical World Wide Web. And aviation is at the beginning of taking part of this solution. We're starting to witness this change already in form of electrification, connectivity, artificial intelligence, big data, which again creates environmentally friendly autonomous transportation. OSM is determined to not only be in the forefront of the future of aviation, but actually to be part of driving this change. OSM, what is that? That's the global aviation company positioned for the future. And actually, when I started OSM Aviation some 6 years ago, that was sort of to disrupt the way we deal with people management, crew management in the aviation business. The employees needed more flexibility. Most of the people who joined an airline, they were pretty much stuck there for the rest of their careers because of seniority system and the pension systems and all that. And the operators needed more flexibility because they had a lot of surplus of pilots in the wintertime and so forth. So there was a need for flexibility. So we came up with a solution that if you have a crew management company, then we have a better solution for both the employees and also for the operators. There's been a lot of changes in this industry in the last 40 years. I've seen a lot of changes. It's 40 years, actually, this year since I started my flight training in South Carolina. And the technology has changed quite a bit. When I flew DC-9s in the old days, we had the flight management computer system that was between our ears. Today, when I retired flying the Airbus, there were more than 450 computers on that airplane. So been a tremendous change in the technology. Also, business models has changed tremendously. The low-cost carriers came in to challenge the established legacy carriers. But on the operational side, it's still a dinosaur industry. We're dealing with operations exactly the way we did in the 50s. Totally dinosaurs. We need to challenge ourselves. We need to look at new models that are more rational and facilitate more growth in the future. So OSM has, in this, taken the part to actually go into training of crew. We have our own technology and innovation division. We deal with maintenance, sales and distribution, and now also OSM Aviation Unmanned. If we look at the future of aviation at a glance, I think Vern from Chula Vista Police Department said it very well yesterday. He said he wants his police officer to do police work, and then we need operators of the drones to be specialists in that part. We believe specialization is the future, and that's why we have set up all these various divisions in our company. We need more flexibility as well. We need to recruit people into this industry. And I think that unmanned aviation is a fantastic inspiration to actually enthuse more youngsters to join the aviation industry, which have had a somewhat fading glamour in the last years. And the youngsters today, the Generation Z, the millenniums, they think that they can have their office in Starbucks, and that's their future. They want to come to work when they feel like it. And we need to adapt to some of their wishes. We can't do everything, but If we can come up with flexible systems that will enable them to be more flexible in their work environment, that'll be a great help. I actually believe that a regular pilot in the future can have his iPhone and then receive a text message from SAS one day and from Lufthansa the next week and fly for different companies. In the drone business, this is much easier because we're starting from scratch. We can do all these and create all these flexible environments from scratch, and that's a tremendous advantage. There will also be environmental factors that will come into play when it comes to aviation industry. A lot of technological disruptions, we see that. That's why we're here talking with the drones. New business models will come. We will see new air transportation companies arising out of all this technology, and there will be a need for new regulations and the politics of all that as well. There is no question that the future is electric in the aviation industry. Well, now I'm going to come back to when it's converging towards the unmanned industry. But the electric, we've actually bought 60 electric aircraft because we see that there is a need to come up with environmentally friendly solutions. And the very good side factor of the electric aircrafts within training in traditional aviation is the fact that the cost of the operation is 1/5 of what it is today on a conventional aircraft. Another thing is that the whole regional market would change when you have electric aircrafts. We will see new routes that will become economically viable. We'll see actually we can fly from Gullknapp to Oslo in the future because the cost of operating an electric aircraft is so low. Widerøe is actually now working on hybrid versions with 20 passengers. They can accommodate 20 passengers. That will also create new route structures. So again, the traditional aviation is converging in towards the unmanned business. And this will, in addition to also help attracting people into the industry. Disruptive technology. All these new drones that you guys are working on will, as you know, create new mobility systems, and I think that we will see in the future Uber models that will take us around in the urban areas. No question about that. We already see now the University of Oslo is collaborating with Bring to move blood samples around. We see Wilhelmsen Rederi and OSM Maritime are using autonomous shore-to-ship deliveries. And there are so many aspects with this process that are geared towards people, needs and expectation, and that drives change. And what actually is driving the change? Is it the technology or is it people? If you ask me, people, of course, develop technology, but actually it's technology that enables new business model that will be successful in the future.
I fremtiden så tenker jeg vel at vi kommer til å kjøre rundt I dronetaxier og egne eide droner.
Men det viktig at det blir mer miljøvennlig. Elektriske fly hadde jo vært helt ideelt.
Drone opp på fjellet, drone ut på sjøen.
Kanskje skal bruke andre typer. Ikke bensin, men det som gir energi.
At transportsektoren mer en dør-til-dør-løsning, hvor du bestiller gjennom et selskap da, hele pakken.
There is a great expectation for that drones are coming into play there, and there are great expectations it will happen soon. But there will be chaos. I think Christian yesterday, who from DGI, he said yesterday that technology will always be ahead of the regulation. And it has to be that way, because if you don't know what to regulate, you won't have anything to regulate. And if you look at the scooters that we see today in the urban areas around the globe, and everybody is saying, oh, it's totally crazy, and everybody's running around and hitting people and all that. So the biggest solution, the easiest solution to that is to ban it. But that doesn't drive any changes in the future. So that, I think, is the lowest level of chaos we'll see. When we put this up into the air, there will be even more chaos. initially. We have to accept that. If we're going to accept change, and we have to accept that there will be chaos, but we have to, as soon as possible, start to regulate it. We start to train people, and we need to make sure that we have viable operational methods. We'll also see, in the aviation sector, we've gone from 3 pilots in the old days when I flew to just some 20, 30 years ago to Bangkok. We were 4 people, then we're 3 people in the cockpit, then we're 2 people in the cockpit. Now in the near future will be 1 pilot in the cockpit. And as long as I'm on this earth, I think that's where we'll stop for the long-distance flights anyway. But there will be chaos. We have to deal with the chaos, and society has to make sure that we can control the chaos and adjust as soon as we can. We have to build, actually, an ecosystem. And this is where I think that OSM Aviation will take a clear role. We have the experience from the aviation industry. We have experience in training people. We have experience in operations. And we believe that our operational concepts will be essential, a part of knitting all this together and making this a more organized industry in the future. We believe that the aviation industry, as we know it today, will actually merge up with the unmanned industry that you guys are working on. We will take part of that, and we believe that we will have a positive impact on this, and that's why we're also working with Gullknapp Aerial Center very closely, and we believe that's a perfect place to be to develop these systems. So this is OSM Aviation Unmanned. And also I want to just briefly talk about the next generation training. Are the pilots that we are engaging now these days the same as the type of pilots that we recruited for the previous or in the older days? Is it the same type, or do we need other types of people that we need to engage in the new world of aviation? Well, we believe there might be some differences. We need to focus on the knowledge that we have from recruiting people into the aviation industry, but at the same time there will be different models and different attributes that the youngsters today will need that hasn't been sort of on the forefront today, like VR, gamification, and augmented reality. I believe that the experience that we have from this industry will really add to your part of the world. So, aviation is a dynamic industry that needs to be at the forefront of business transformation. Text disruption and people are driving the change. And challenging the status quo is not an option, but a necessity in our world. We need greater coordination and professionalism in the unmanned segment, is my proposal. There is a lot to be done there. OSM Aviation is willing to take the lead in that work. And some of the future air vehicles will be unmanned. We still believe that. But we still believe it's all about people, whether it's in the air or on the ground. Thank you very much.